Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're going somewhere really fascinating, deep inside our own heads, actually, into our dreams.
That enigmatic world we visit every night?
Exactly, you know that feeling, right? You slip into sleep and suddenly, well, logic just goes out the window. Familiar people show up in totally bizarre places. Maybe you're flying 1 second.
Or falling the next.
Right, or you're back in your childhood home, but, everything's slightly off. It can be incredibly vivid, sometimes just plain weird, and almost always feels completely out of your control.
And then, poof, you wake up and it fades so fast.
Like mist, yeah. But what if? What if it didn't have to be like that? Imagine right in the middle of that dream, you get this flicker of awareness. You think, hang on, this is a dream.
Ah, the magic moment. Lucidity.
That's it. Lucid dreaming, becoming consciously aware while you're still dreaming. It's this incredible moment of agency, isn't it? Suddenly the impossible. It's on the table.
You can choose to fly, talk to dream characters, explore.
Explore anything, conjure whole worlds. For some people, it's like the ultimate mental playground. For others, it's actually a really powerful space for working things out.
Yeah, therapeutic potential is huge.
Definitely. So that brings us to the core question for this deep dive. What if we could get lucid more often, more reliably? And what if we could actually, partner with technology? Specifically, artificial intelligence.
AI in our dreams?
Yeah, partnering with AI to explore, navigate, maybe even shape these inner dream worlds. We're digging into a really interesting source today. It's called Lucid Dreaming with Artificial Intelligence, how AI can help you hack sleep, control dreams, and unlock the mind.
So like a fascinating intersection. The mystery of the mind meeting the logic of data.
Exactly. So our mission today for you listening is to really unpack this. We'll look at the science behind dreams and lucidity, the potential benefits, which are pretty amazing, the actual techniques for AI-enhanced dreaming.
And the tricky parts too, right? The ethics.
Absolutely. We have to talk about the ethics when machines start getting involved in our thoughts. So where do we even start with something as, mysterious as dreaming?
Well, it's a great question. And the idea of AI partnering in that space,
Yeah.
it really does feel like a new frontier for understanding consciousness. But first things first, we really need to get a handle on the basic landscape of sleep itself.
Right. It's not just switching off for 8 hours.
Not at all. Sleep isn't monolithic. It's this dynamic, really active process. It unfolds in cycles, roughly 90 minutes each, repeating through the night.
90-minute cycles.
And within each cycle, your brain moves through different stages. Broadly, we talk about two main types: non-REM, or NREM sleep,
NREM?
and REM sleep. That's rapid eye movement.
Gotcha. NREM and REM. So what's the difference? What's happening in each?
Well, you usually start the night in NREM sleep. It has 3 stages, getting progressively deeper. Think light dozing down to that really deep restorative sleep. This is mostly about physical repair, memory consolidation, kind of a general brain slowdown. Your body's really at rest.
Okay, makes sense. Body repair time.
But then usually after about 90 minutes or so, you shift into REM sleep.
Yeah.
And REM, that's the main stage for dreaming. The really vivid, emotional, often bizarre dreams happen here. We call it the theater of dreams.
Theater of dreams. I like that.
And what's really fascinating about REM is it's paradoxical. Your brain activity actually looks a lot like it does when you're awake. High frequency waves, pretty active.
Really? But you're asleep.
Exactly. But while your brain is buzzing, your voluntary muscles, they go into a state called atonia, basically muscle paralysis.
Paralysis. Why?
It's crucial. It stops you from physically acting out your dreams. Imagine flailing around based on those wild dream narratives.
Ah, okay. Good safety feature. So your body's still, but your brain's going a mile a minute. That's the paradox.
That's the core of it, yeah. Paradoxical sleep, that's another name for it. And which parts of the brain are active during normal REM really tells us why dreams feel the way they do.
Okay, lay it on me.
You see a lot of activity in the limbic system, especially the amygdala, the brain's emotion center.
Ah, hence the intense dream feelings. Joy, fear.
Exactly. Super intense emotions. But at the same time, there's much less activity in the prefrontal cortex.
The logic center. Planning, reasoning.
Right. That sophisticated part responsible for judgment, self-awareness, critical thinking, it's largely offline. And that's key to why normal dreams often make no sense.
Okay, so the editor is asleep.
Pretty much. No coherent plot, physics gets weird, jumps are totally illogical because that reasoning part isn't really weighing in. But interestingly, the primary visual cortex is highly active.
Even though your eyes are closed.
Yep. It's generating all that vivid internal imagery, pulling from memory, imagination, emotions, creating the whole dream scene internally.
That totally explains having a perfectly normal chat with, I don't know, a flying squirrel in your kitchen, and it feels completely fine at the time.
Exactly, your logic filter is off.
So why? Why do we even dream? I get the feeling there isn't just one simple answer.
No, definitely not. It's still one of the big mysteries in neuroscience, actually. But there are some really compelling theories.
Like Freud. I remember something about dreams being the subconscious.
Yeah, Sigmund Freud's idea was huge. He called dreams the royal road to the unconscious. For him, they were all about disguised wishes, repressed desires, a window into your deepest thoughts and fears, stuff you couldn't access easily when awake.
So like hidden messages from ourselves.
Kind of, yeah. Symbolic narratives working through unresolved stuff.
Yeah.
Then, totally different angle, you have the activation synthesis hypothesis.
Activation synthesis. Sounds technical.
It is a bit. Proposed by Hobson and McCarley back in the 70s, their idea was simpler, maybe more biological.
Yeah.
During REM, there's random neural firing, like
Yeah.
static coming up from the brainstem.
So it's just random signals.
Right. And the brain, being a meaning-making machine, tries to synthesize these random bursts into some kind of narrative, tries to make sense of the chaos.
So that's why dreams can be so fragmented and bizarre. The brain's just trying to connect random dots.
That's the core idea, yeah. It explains the weirdness pretty well. The brain's just doing its best to create a story from noise.
Okay. And what about the more modern ideas? That dreams are actually functional.
Right, the cognitive theories. These view dreams more pragmatically, like maybe they're for problem solving, or emotional regulation, like a kind of nightly therapy session.
Actually, therapy, I could use that.
Couldn't we all? Many researchers think dreaming helps us process the day's experiences, consolidate memories, figure out what to keep, what to discard.
Sorting the mental files.
Exactly. And helping with emotional healing, too, working through stuff metaphorically in a safe space. It's like our brain's own overnight processing unit.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So with that backdrop of normal dreaming, let's get back to this lucid state. What exactly is happening there?
Right, lucid dreaming. It's really quite extraordinary. Simply put, it's becoming aware that you're dreaming while you're still dreaming.
You know you're dreaming inside the dream.
Precisely. The term itself came from a Dutch psychiatrist, Frederik van Eden, back in 1913. But the idea, it's ancient. Lots of cultures and spiritual traditions knew about it, even cultivated it.
Wow, so it's not new, just the scientific study is newer.
Exactly. And the key difference from a regular dream is agency. You're not just a passive observer being carried along. You realize you're dreaming. And often, you gain some level of control.
Control, like you can change things.
To varying degrees, yes. You might be able to influence the environment, interact consciously with dream characters, maybe even change the whole storyline. It's like suddenly realizing you're the director, not just an actor.
That's the crucial bit, isn't it? The knowing and then the potential to act on it. It's not just a vivid dream, it's meta-dreaming.
Meta-dreaming, I like that. And neurologically, it's fascinating. Lucid dreaming seems to be this unique hybrid state, somewhere between being fully awake and being in deep REM sleep.
A hybrid state, okay.
Your body's still in REM, still has that muscle atonia we talked about.
Right, the paralysis.
But something remarkable happens upstairs, that prefrontal cortex, the part that's usually less active in normal REM.
The logic and self-awareness part.
Exactly. In lucid dreams, it becomes partially reactivated.
Wow.
And that seems to be the key. That reactivation unlocks the conscious awareness inside the dream.
Wow. So the brain literally shifts gears. What does that look like on, say, a brain scan? Are there signatures?
There are. We're still figuring out the exact mechanisms, but studies using fMRI, EEG, they consistently show increased activity in specific prefrontal areas during lucid dreams.
Which areas?
Particularly the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, DLPFC, and the anterior cingulate cortex, ACC.
Okay. What do those parts normally do?
They're heavily involved in what we call metacognition, thinking about thinking, self-reflection, executive functions, decision-making.
So the very things you need to realize, hey, I'm dreaming.
Precisely. That heightened activity enables the self-awareness, the critical reasoning, and that feeling of agency within the dream.
It's just amazing how the brain can do that, switch modes even during sleep.
It really is. And there's another really interesting electrical signature, increased gamma band activity, around 40 hertz, usually in the frontal cortex.
Gamma waves, what does that mean?
Think of it like your brain kicking into a higher gear. It's this high-frequency, synchronized electrical activity. It signals really intense, high-level information integration, conscious awareness.
Like when you're awake and really focused?
Exactly. Similar patterns show up during intense problem-solving, deep meditation, those aha moments.
Huh.
But this is happening inside a dream.
Incredible.
And researchers also see a kind of partial reconnection of brain networks. Things like the default mode network involved in self-thought and the frontoparietal control network for goal-directed stuff.
So different parts of the brain start talking to each other more coherently.
That's a good way to think about it, yeah. Better connectivity between frontal and parietal lobes. Linking your executive functions with your sense of space and self pulls it all together, allows you to navigate intentionally.
And maybe even brain chemistry changes slightly.
There's some evidence pointing that way too. Dopamine might play a role. Some substances that boost dopamine seem to make lucidity more likely. It's all interconnected.
So it's a very specific, high-functioning brain state enabling this awareness. How do people actually trigger it? I hear about reality checks a lot.
Yes, reality checks are a classic technique and often very effective. The idea is to make a habit of questioning reality, both when you're awake and hoping it carries over into your dreams.
How does that work?
You might regularly throughout your day try something like pushing your finger against your palm, or looking at a clock, looking away, then looking back to see if the numbers change erratically, or even just asking yourself seriously, am I dreaming right now?
And in a dream.
In a dream, these checks often fail spectacularly. Your finger goes right through your hand, the clock numbers are a jumbled mess, or you try to jump and just float.
Ah. The anomaly triggers the realization.
Exactly. That weirdness becomes the cue. Wait a minute. This isn't normal physics. This must be a dream. It's about training that critical awareness.
And science found a way to prove this was really happening, objectively. I think I read about eye signals.
Absolutely. That was pioneering work by Dr. Stephen LaBerge in the late 70s, early 80s. Truly groundbreaking. He figured out that even though most muscles are paralyzed in REM, eye muscles aren't.
Okay.
So he trained lucid dreamers. Once they became lucid in the sleep lab, hooked up to monitoring equipment, they would signal him. They'd move their eyes in a pre-agreed pattern, like left, right, deliberately.
And the machines could pick that up.
Yes. The polysomnography equipment detected those distinct eye movements. It was the first solid, verifiable proof that someone could be consciously aware and send intentional signals from within the dream state.
That is just wild. Communicating from a dream. It blew the doors open for scientific study, didn't it?
It really did. It bridged that gap between the subjective inner world and objective measurement. What's fascinating here is how our brains shift gears, even during sleep, to grant us this unique awareness.
So what does this all mean? It means your dreams aren't just random experiences. They can be active spaces for profound personal development. And that takes us to why this really matters, doesn't it? It's not just a neat trick. Lucid dreaming has real potential beyond just, flying around like Superman.
Definitely. Well, the initial appeal is often that fantasy fulfillment, defying gravity, conjuring scenarios that deeper value, lies in tangible benefits that can really impact your waking life.
Like what? Where does it make a real difference?
Well, three big areas often come up: enhanced creativity, significant psychological healing, and unique approaches to problem solving. It really shifts the dream from being passive entertainment to an active frontier.
Okay, let's start with creativity. The source material really emphasized this, how dreams are naturally unconstrained.
They are. Dreams don't care about physics or linear time or logic. You can mix concepts, explore surreal landscapes, encounter symbolic figures. It's inherently creative.
But in a lucid dream, you can steer that.
Exactly. You can intentionally harness that freedom. Imagine you're an architect. You could literally walk through a building you're designing in your dream, tweaking the layout, changing materials, seeing how the light falls. Instant modifications with just a thought.
Wow. Or a writer.
A novelist could have a direct conversation with a character they're stuck on. Ask them questions, explore their motivations, see how they react in different scenarios. It's like having an interactive, immersive sandbox for your ideas. The source calls it cognitive play at its most vivid and free.
Cognitive play.
Yeah.
Prototyping ideas without limits.
And because your sensory and emotional brain areas are so active in REM, the experiences feel incredibly rich and real. You're creating and experiencing simultaneously, directly accessing that subconscious reservoir of memories, feelings, symbols.
So a direct line to your own creative depths.
Pretty much, unfiltered. It can lead to insights or connections that just wouldn't surface during the logical grind of the day.
So it's not just for artists, scientists, entrepreneurs. Anyone needing flexible thinking could benefit. That's huge. But what about the emotional side? Psychological growth? That feels even more profound.
It really is one of the most powerful applications.
Yeah.
Lucid dreams offer this incredibly safe, private, and importantly malleable space for emotional work.
Malleable, meaning you can change things.
Yes, because you have that conscious awareness, that lucidity, combined with the dream's vividness, you can engage with difficult emotions or memories differently. You can intentionally revisit challenging scenarios, confront fears, explore past events, all while knowing you're safe. It's a dream, and you have agency.
That awareness is key, isn't it? Knowing you're ultimately in control.
It's transformative, especially as you mentioned earlier for things like PTSD and recurrent nightmares.
Yeah, nightmares can be absolutely terrifying and relentless. How does lucidity help there?
Nightmares, especially trauma-related ones, often replay horrific events, leaving the person feeling helpless, re-traumatized. Lucidity offers an intervention point within the nightmare itself. Once you realize you're dreaming, you can choose not to be helpless. You can stand your ground against the threat. You can try to change the narrative, talk to the monster, give yourself superpowers, fly away, anything.
You gain control over the fear narrative.
Exactly. And clinical studies back this up. People trained in lucid dreaming often report fewer nightmares, less intensity when they do happen, better sleep, and reduced PTSD symptoms overall. They regain a sense of mastery.
Wow. Turning the source of terror into a space for empowerment, that's incredible.
It really is. It rewrites the script, not just in the dream, but potentially in their waking response to triggers too.
And it's not just for severe trauma, right? It sounds like it could help with general self-understanding too.
Oh, definitely. Think about Carl Jung's ideas, dreams, as dialogues with the unconscious, full of symbols, archetypes, maybe parts of ourselves we've ignored.
Like talking to your subconscious.
In a lucid dream, you can do that quite literally. You can intentionally ask questions of dream figures, seek guidance, explore symbolic landscapes with a specific question in mind, get insights you might not reach through logical thought alone.
Unfiltered conversation with your deeper self.
Yeah. And there's potential for self-compassion too. Maybe you encounter a vulnerable part of yourself, like a dream version of your inner child. In a lucid state, you can consciously offer comfort, reconciliation, integrate those fragmented parts.
So the dream becomes a mirror and a sandbox for healing.
Beautifully put. A mirror and a sandbox, transforming confusion or pain into understanding.
This is making me see dreams in a whole new light, not just random noise, but potential tools. What about problem solving? Any famous examples of dreams sparking breakthroughs?
Oh, loads. History is full of them. Kekulé figuring out the benzene ring structure after dreaming of a snake eating its tail.
The Ouroboros, I remember that one.
Right. Mendeleev reportedly seeing the periodic table laid out in a dream. Otto Lowy dreaming the experiment design that proved chemical neurotransmission.
So breakthroughs bubbling up from the subconscious.
Likely, yeah. The dreaming brain is amazing at integration, making connections waking logic might miss. It's not bound by the usual rules.
And lucidity lets you direct that process.
That's the idea. The potential gets amplified hugely by conscious intention. You can go into a lucid dream with a specific problem, a design challenge, a difficult conversation you need to have, a scientific question.
And then what?
And then you actively explore it using the dream's resources. You could simulate that tough conversation, see how dream characters react. A coder might literally walk through their code's architecture in the dream, spotting bugs. A strategist could visualize different scenarios.
Like a hyper-realistic mental simulation.
Exactly. Immersive, multisensory. And because you're free from external distractions and maybe some of your own mental blocks, you can have really novel, out-of-the-box insights, accessing a different kind of intelligence.
It's like active incubation, not just waiting for an idea to pop up. You're participating. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Bring in the AI. How does artificial intelligence change this whole game?
Right. This is where the source, lucid dreaming with artificial intelligence, gets really compelling. The core idea isn't that AI replaces the mystery or the personal meaning of dreams. Not at all.
Okay, so it's not taking over.
No, it's more like extending our natural abilities. Think of AI as a partner, a sophisticated mirror, maybe an amplifier for subtle signals, an intelligent ally in exploring this inner space.
An ally, I like that.
The big shift is moving from relying solely on disciplined, often difficult, self-taught techniques for lucidity. Techniques that can be inconsistent.
Yeah, I've tried reality checks. They don't always work.
Exactly. Moving from that to more precise, data-driven protocols, leveraging computation and machine learning to make lucidity more accessible and effective.
Okay, so how does that actually work? What are these AI protocols? How does AI help?
Well, it can start even before you fall asleep with AI-assisted sleep preparation.
Preparing for lucid dreams.
Using wearables, smart sleep tech, AI can track your sleep cycles, your brain waves, heart rate, even tiny movements with incredible precision.
Collecting data while you sleep.
Right. And by analyzing this data over time, the AI learns your specific sleep patterns, your unique sleep architecture.
So it knows when I'm most likely to be in REM sleep.
Exactly. It can predict your optimal REM windows for trying to get lucid with much better accuracy than just guessing. It can even potentially use subtle feedback sound, light, to gently guide your brain towards states more conducive to lucidity, tailoring the prep to you.
Personalized sleep coaching for lucidity. Cool. And can it help recognize dream signs too? Those triggers we talked about?
Yes, absolutely. AI-driven dream sign recognition. This is where machine learning shines. You feed the AI your dream journal entries.
Just typing them in. Or speaking them.
Could be either. Using natural language processing, the AI analyzes your descriptions. It looks for recurring patterns, themes, objects, feelings, especially things that tend to show up just before you get lucid, or things that are consistently weird in your dreams.
Stuff I might not even notice myself.
Precisely. Humans miss subtle patterns over long periods. Maybe for you, technology always malfunctions weirdly in dreams. Or you keep seeing a specific, slightly wrong version of your office. The AI spots these recurring personal dream signs.
Okay, it spots the sign. Then what?
Then it can help you use it. It could create personalized pre-sleep visualizations featuring that sign, or audio cues to listen to as you fall asleep, priming your subconscious. Notice the strange clock. Check the light switch, making you more likely to recognize it in the dream.
Priming the mind. Makes sense.
And this leads into something even more direct. Real-time stimuli triggered during REM, sometimes called dream engineering.
Triggering things while I'm dreaming.
Wearables again. Smart headbands, sleep masks. They detect when you enter REM sleep. Then they deliver subtle cues.
Cues. Like, what? Won't they wake me up?
That's the trick. They're designed not to wake you.
Yeah.
Really gentle sounds, maybe specific tones, soft flashes of light, or even tiny vibrations from a wristband. The idea is the cue penetrates the dream narrative just enough.
So I might hear a faint sound in the dream.
Exactly. Maybe a soft whisper. This is a dream. Or a pre-learned tone associated with lucidity. It blends in just enough to act as a nudge, a catalyst. Hey, pay attention.
A nudge towards awareness.
Right. Or haptic feedback, gentle buzzes timed with potential dream signs the AI identified earlier, prompting that reality check from within.
So it's not just about triggering lucidity. Could it, like, influence the dream content too?
That's the next step, yeah. What some call dream sculpting. If you can introduce specific stimuli reliably, could you gently steer the dream? Enhance certain emotions, maybe embed positive affirmations while the mind's really receptive.
Wow. Okay, that's starting to feel a bit more interventionist.
It definitely is. Enhancing courage for facing a fear, guiding the dream towards creative exploration. It makes the dream potentially programmable.
Programmable dreams. Okay. And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. What about talking directly to the brain? Neurostimulation. Brain-computer interfaces. BCIs.
Now you're at the cutting edge, moving beyond just sensory cues to directly modulating brain activity. Techniques like TDCS, transcranial direct current stimulation, and TCS, alternating current stimulation.
Zapping the brain. Sounds scary.
It's very low-level electrical current, non-invasive. The idea with TCS specifically is intriguing for lucidity. Remember those gamma waves?
Yeah, the 40 hertz activity linked to awareness.
Right. TCS could potentially entrain your brain waves towards that frequency during REM, gently encouraging the brain activity pattern associated with lucidity, like a lucidity switch.
So literally nudging your brain into the lucid state electrically.
That's the potential, yes.
Yeah.
Nudging it towards that optimal gamma frequency. Some early consumer devices have tried this with mixed results so far, but the real power comes when you pair this with AI.
How does AI help the brain stimulation?
AI can interpret the complex EEG data from your brain in real time. Imagine a closed-loop system. AI monitors your brain waves, detects REM sleep, maybe sees early signs of lucidity starting, then it activates the TACS.
Okay, smarter targeting.
Even smarter. What if you, the dreamer, signal you're lucid using those eye movements, a BCI signal?
Ah, closing the loop.
Exactly. The AI detects your signal, confirms lucidity, then maybe it adjusts the stimulation to help stabilize the state. Or it delivers a verbal prompt through bone conduction headphones. Explore this feeling, creating this dynamic, responsive interaction with your sleeping mind.
A real-time dialogue between the AI and the dreaming brain. That's incredible.
And this ties into dream incubation too, planting seeds.
Right, setting an intention before sleep, hoping it shows up in the dream.
It's an ancient practice, really. setting an intention, holding a question in mind, hoping the dream offers insight.
Does that actually work?
Modern science is validating it. MIT's Dream Lab, for example, they used a device called Dormio. It detected when someone was entering hypnagogia, that state right between wakefulness and sleep.
A twilight zone.
Exactly. Rich with imagery. Dormio would whisper prompts then. Think about a tree. And sure enough, trees featured more prominently in the subsequent dreams. The sleeping mind was listening.
Wow. So AI takes that basic idea and amps it up.
Big time. Instead of just a static prompt, AI makes it dynamic and personal. Based on your goals, your emotional state right now, your past dream patterns, it crafts tailored suggestions.
So if I'm stuck on a problem,
The AI could analyze related themes in your past dreams and craft a unique incubation prompt designed to nudge your dreaming mind towards relevant insights, delivered at the precise optimal moment in your sleep cycle.
it's like a highly intelligent dream gardener.
That's a great analogy. Planting the right seeds at the right time based on the specific soil of your mind, it turns passive dreaming into this active collaboration.
Okay, so AI helps us get lucid, maybe even incubate specific dreams. But what about remembering them? That's always the problem. They fade so fast.
Huge problem. Dream recall is notoriously bad for most people. AI offers some powerful tools here too, moving way beyond just scribbling notes.
Like what?
Think AI-assisted journaling. You wake up, maybe still groggy. Instead of finding pen and paper, you just talk. Speak your dream into your phone or a smart speaker.
Voice notes for dreams.
But smarter. The AI transcribes it instantly, and it doesn't just store the text. It analyzes it using that natural language processing.
looking for keywords, emotions.
Exactly. Keywords, recurring themes, emotional tone, sentiment analysis, potential dream signs. And it can give you immediate feedback. Hey, you mentioned flying again. Maybe focus on that as a lucidity trigger. It makes journaling easy, immediate, and insightful.
That immediate feedback loop sounds really helpful for reinforcing recall and spotting things.
And it excels at long-term pattern recognition. Things a human would almost certainly miss over months or years of dreams.
Like what kind of patterns?
Maybe the AI notices that snakes consistently appear in your dreams right before you make a major life change. Or that dreams about being late happen whenever you're feeling overwhelmed at work. It connects dots across your entire dream history.
Seeing the bigger narrative in your dreams.
Yeah, revealing symbolic language or recurring motifs you weren't aware of. It transforms fragmented memories into a coherent story about your subconscious landscape.
Can it also analyze the emotions? Like, track if my dreams are generally getting happier or more anxious.
Yes, that's sentiment analysis. It can track the emotional tone over time, giving you this objective chart of your inner emotional weather, reflecting shifts you might not consciously perceive.
And I read something about clustering. Grouping similar dreams.
Right, using clustering algorithms. It can group dreams based on underlying themes, even if the surface details look different. A dream of losing your keys and a dream of forgetting lines on stage might both get clustered under anxiety about performance or fear of unpreparedness.
Revealing deeper concerns.
Exactly. Core issues, not just the specific scenario.
And it can even predict things. Like when I might have a lucid dream.
Based on all this data, past patterns, sleep cycles, maybe even waking life inputs, AI can use predictive modeling. It can flag nights with a higher probability of lucidity.
So I can, like, prepare better on those nights. Set stronger intentions.
Precisely. Maximize your chances. It all ends up to AI becoming this personalized dream OS, an operating system for your inner world.
A dream OS.
Constantly learning you, adapting, optimizing for lucidity, exploration, insight. It's potentially revolutionary for how we interact with our own minds.
Okay, this is undeniably incredible. The potential seems almost limitless, but there's always a but, isn't there? We have to talk about the ethics. When AI starts interfacing so directly with our dreams, is that manipulation?
That's the absolute crux of the ethical debate, isn't it? Dreams feel like the final frontier of privacy, the one place totally untouched by external influence, or at least they were.
So where's the line? Helping versus interfering?
It's a spectrum, right? An AI tracking your sleep patterns to suggest better bedtime habits seems pretty benign. An AI identifying your personal dream signs still feels like assistance.
But then
you get to neuro headbands, actively inducing brain states. Yeah. Or AI whispering tailored suggestions into your sleeping ear to nudge the dream content. That feels different, more proactive, more like intervention.
And who's doing the intervening? What if it's not just about my personal growth? What about advertisers, corporations.
That's the nightmare scenario, pun intended. Imagine an AI platform, maybe owned by a big tech company, analyzing millions of dream reports, identifying deep-seated desires, fears, insecurities,
And then
and subtly linking positive dream emotions generated by their tech with a brand, a product, political messaging. We already see sophisticated influencing techniques in our waking lives. Bringing that into the dream space, it's deeply concerning.
It really is. It raises that fundamental question. If AI is co-authoring your dreams, shaping your inner narratives, whose thoughts are you even thinking? Is it still you?
Does the boundary erode? Does the AI's voice become internalized? It's a profound question about autonomy and identity.
Chilling. What about the mental health risks? Messing with sleep, with dreams. That feels delicate.
Extremely delicate. Sleep is vital, finely tuned. Intervention could easily disrupt it. And for people with existing mental health challenges, anxiety, PTSD, depression, psychosis risk, the dangers are magnified.
How so?
Well, while dream work can be therapeutic, AI-driven augmentation, without clinical oversight, could be overwhelming. Intensify nightmares instead of resolving them. Blur the lines between dream and reality in a dangerous way. Cause dissociation.
So the AI might push someone too hard, too fast.
Exactly. An AI doesn't have human empathy or clinical judgment. It might misinterpret data, push a sensitive theme too aggressively, trigger fear or distress without understanding the context of someone's trauma or fragility. Even well-meant suggestions could backfire badly.
And what if dream characters start sounding like the AI? That sounds unsettling.
Deeply unsettling. It could fragment one's sense of self, create real psychological distress. The boundary between self and system needs to be clear.
And the data itself, dream data. That's got to be the most personal data imaginable. Privacy, ownership.
Monumental issues. Who owns your dream journal data? Your brainwave patterns during REM. Is it secure? Is it anonymized? Can it be sold, hacked, used against you?
Used against you how?
Think algorithmic profiling. AI analyzes aggregated dream data to predict psychological traits, mental health risks, maybe even political leanings or consumer preferences. Could that affect your job prospects, insurance rates, loan applications? Based on your dream.
That's a dystopian slippery slope.
It is. The potential for misuse is enormous if not handled with extreme care and regulation.
So how do we prevent that? What's needed for this to be ethical?
Transparency and user control are paramount, absolutely non-negotiable. Systems must be opt-in, with clear, informed consent. Robust encryption and data security are essential. Users must control their own data, ideally with options for local processing so it never leaves their device.
Keep the data on my phone, not their server.
Wherever possible, yes.
Yeah.
Clear disclaimers about risks and limitations. And, critically, human oversight, especially for any therapeutic use.
Yeah.
We must constantly ask, when a machine shapes your dreams, whose voice are you really hearing? The power needs to stay with the dreamer.
Okay. Heavy stuff. Now, shifting gears slightly, the source also touches on something even more sci-fi. Collective dreaming. Shared dreamscapes.
Yeah, moving beyond the individual mind. It sounds fantastical, but the idea isn't entirely new. Some ancient cultures, like the Aboriginal concept of the dream time, saw dreams as potentially communal spaces.
Shared reality and dreams. How would that even work biologically?
Well, there's research into neural synchrony, brains syncing up when people share experiences. It's speculative, but perhaps aligned brain activity could somehow underpin shared dream content.
And AI's role.
AI could be the facilitator. Imagine AI analyzing real-time neural and emotional data from multiple people, then generating a dream environment that's personalized for each, yet coherent across the group. A multi-user dream simulation.
So we could literally meet in a dream, like a virtual world, but generated by our collective minds via AI.
That's the futuristic, speculative vision. Collaborators brainstorming in a shared dreamscape. Group therapy in a symbolic environment.
Mind-blowing. But all those ethical concerns we just discussed, they'd be massively amplified, right?
Exponentially. Control, consent, privacy, potential for manipulation or harm in a shared mental space. The governance and safeguards required would be immense. We need to be incredibly cautious exploring that territory.
Absolutely. So this tech isn't just about sleep dreams. The source says AI is pushing boundaries in other altered states too.
Yeah, the principles translate. Think about daydreaming. That spontaneous flow of thought, often very creative. AI can model that associative process, maybe acting as a brainstorming partner, generating novel ideas or narrative threads.
Like an AI muse for when your mind wanders.
Kind of, yeah. Simulating that default mode network activity. Then there's hypnagogia, that state just as you fall asleep.
The gateway state, right? Where weird images and ideas pop up.
Exactly. Known for creativity.
Huh.
AI systems like Dormio are already using timed cues during hypnagogia for targeted dream incubation, trying to harness that creative flashpoint deliberately.
Making that liminal space more accessible. And what about psychedelic states? That seems like a huge leap.
It is, but AI is getting involved there too, mainly in research right now, analyzing subjective trip reports alongside brain data to understand these profound states better.
How?
Identifying patterns, mapping experiences to neural activity. Some researchers are even using AI to help design new compounds that might induce more specific, targeted therapeutic effects, rather than the full, unpredictable psychedelic experience.
Designing altered states.
And AI models are being used to simulate aspects of these states, simulating ego dissolution or generating visuals like Google's Deep Dream that resemble psychedelic perceptions. It's all about modeling and understanding consciousness.
What's fascinating here is how AI isn't just about dreams, it's pushing the boundaries of consciousness itself.
It really is. Modeling, simulating, maybe eventually influencing various states, offering new tools for therapy, creativity, maybe even just understanding what it means to be conscious. It expands the whole landscape.
So there we have it. An incredible journey, really. From the basics of sleep and dreaming to that amazing spark of lucidity and the very real benefits it can bring.
And then diving headfirst into how AI is poised to completely revolutionize that inner landscape.
Yeah, acting as this intelligent ally for sleep prep, dream sign spotting, real-time nudges, remembering, analyzing. It's profound.
While also forcing us to confront some really deep ethical questions about privacy, autonomy, and manipulation.
Absolute crucial questions. And we even peeked at the future possibilities, shared dreams, AI influencing other states of consciousness.
It's a rapidly evolving intersection of neuroscience and technology.
It really transforms how we can think about the night, doesn't it? Not just passive rest, but potentially this active, intentional space for growth, for creativity, for healing, for mastering our own minds in a way.
Making the elusive more accessible.
Exactly. Turning dreams from something that just happens to us into something we can potentially engage with, learn from, maybe even craft.
With conscious design and intelligent partnership.
So as we keep building these bridges between brain science and powerful AI, we are moving closer to a world where our inner lives, our dreams, might feel less beyond our control and more within reach. The big question for you, listening, isn't really if you'll explore your own inner world. We all do every night.
The question is how.
Right. How consciously will you navigate it? And perhaps in the future, with what kinds of intelligent allies might you choose to explore alongside? Something to dream on.